SOH Radio presents AsiaCast, keeping you across the top headlines from Asia and the world.
I'm Ben Smith with AsiaCast. In this bulletin, another town in China dying, Chinese Communist Party official GDP questioned, and world's oldest Bible on the internet. But first, here's our SOH focus on China. The town of Xianghe in Hunan Province is now suffering serious poisoning from a chemicals factory that has for years been completely ignoring societal and environmental safety. Recently, 2 people from the Xianghe Chemical Factory have died as a result of cadmium poisoning, with many more in critical condition. A local told SOH reporters that even with the recent shutdown of the factory, due to the complete negligence by officials and the company, the topsoil in the village is completely contaminated by heavy metal poisons, and the entire village is and will suffer long-term chronic illness from this disaster. The Chinese Academy of Social Sciences reported a recent survey showing that 40% of China's small and medium-sized companies have closed down, and another 40% are on the verge of closing down during the current financial crisis. Moreover, 99% of China's industry is composed of small and medium-sized companies, which contribute more than 60% of GDP, 50% of national revenue, and 75% of urban employment. This report therefore raises a question about the Chinese regime's report of a 6.1% GDP growth rate for the first quarter. And now for the rest of today's AsiaCast. In an almost movie-like spoof, US Marines in Afghanistan have been fooled by Afghan insurgents when they dressed up as women. Locked in a standoff with US Marines at the town of Cornice in South Afghanistan near the Helmand River, the militants ran into a multiple-room compound, the US military said. After finding out that there were civilians within, an interpreter organised for the civilians to be released. When everyone had come out and dispersed, the Marines found that there was no one remaining and had realised that the men had dressed up as women and walked out with the others.
You are listening to AsiaCast on the SOH Radio Network.
The brutal murder of an Egyptian woman last week has caused huge protests towards the German people and government. Sherbini, 33, was stabbed to death in a courthouse by the man who she was suing for calling her a terrorist, while she was wearing a headscarf and playing with her son in a playground in the German city of Dresden. Hundreds of Egyptians took part Monday in the funeral of Marwa Sherbini. The crime is believed to be racially motivated towards Muslims. The man known as Alex A. attacked Sherbini at the courthouse and stabbed her 18 times before turning and stabbing her husband. On Monday, a series of agreements was met while President Obama visited Russia to further the progress of the two nations' relationship, which for years has suffered from the stalemate of the past. US President Obama and Russian President Dmitry Medvedev concluded on such issues as nuclear arms reduction as part of a broader effort to strengthen ties between the one-time Cold War rivals. Obama stated that too often the United States and Russia only communicate on a narrow range of issues, or let old habits with their bureaucracy stand in the way of progress. Both sides are committed to reductions within the treaty. The world's oldest known Christian Bible goes online Monday, and Xianghe Chemical, the British Library Project curator, said it should be no surprise that the ancient text is not quite the same as the modern one, since the Bible has developed and changed over the years. The controversial text will now be in the hands of the greater world, and many are wondering what kind of reception it will receive. Discovered in a monastery in the Sinai Desert in Egypt more than 160 years ago, the handwritten Codex Sinaiticus includes 2 books that are not part of the official New Testament. This is Ben Smith for the SOH Radio Network.
AsiaCast, keeping you across the top headlines from Asia and the world.